I'm Dr. Isabelle Hertner, and I'm a lecturer in German and European politics and society here in Pulses. My research focuses on political parties. So, for instance, at the moment I'm writing a book called Centre-Left Parties and the European Union. And in that book I compare how the British Labour Party, the French Socialist Party and the German Social Democrats deal with EU issues. So, for instance, who in those parties makes European policy? Is it the top party elites or the government in some cases, or is it done at the grassroots? I also look at who selects or elects EU specialists like members of the European Parliament. And then I discuss what all of this tells us about these parties as democratic organizations, and of course what all of this tells us about the EU as a democratic system more generally. Now, for that book I've interviewed quite a lot of politicians from the three parties, and I also sent a survey to the parties at the grassroots level, and I interpreted all of that data and found that actually they are quite interested in EU issues at the grassroots level, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily know a lot about it and discuss it all the time. And that, of course, raises some interesting issues. I also work on parties at the EU level. They are called Europarties. For instance, the European Green Party, or the Party of European Socialists, or the European People's Party. They're in Brussels, and in the UK not many people know about them. And in 2014 there were European elections, and these parties actually selected top candidates that they then suggested for the presidency of the European Commission. And in the UK there wasn't much known about that, and David Cameron didn't like the candidate of the European People's Party. Labour didn't endorse the candidate of the Party of European Socialists. So of course that tells us a lot about the UK's relationship with the European Union. My research feeds into my teaching. So, for instance, my books on comparative party politics feeds into my module on comparative European politics, because of course I have to know a lot about how politics work in the UK, in France, and in Germany. And in order to write about Europarties, I have to understand how the EU works, and that feeds nicely into my second-year module called Europeanization, where I look at how, for instance, national parties have Europeanized in recent years. My research on Europe also feeds into my other work in the department. So I'm the director of the Graduate Center for Europe, and that's a fantastic thing, and it only exists at the University of Birmingham, and we're really proud of it. So it's a center that is led by graduate students, mainly PhD students, but also master students who work on European issues, so European film, literature, politics, economics, law. And they put on really interesting events like an annual conference, and they choose the theme. They invite guest speakers. At the moment they have a wonderful film series on political films in Europe, recent films, older films, on power structures in Europe. And each of these films is introduced by an academic, and then afterwards people discuss the film and how they liked it, what they found interesting about it, and so on and so forth. I'm also the Deputy Director of Birmingham's Institute for German Studies, which is a unique institute in the UK, because it studies German politics, German literature, German culture, German history from an interdisciplinary angle. And of course my research also covers Germany, so it's really interesting to be involved in that institute, And this year we're celebrating our 20th anniversary, to which we've invited alumni, and where we will discuss current debates in German politics. For instance, is Germany Europe's reluctant hegemon? Has it become more powerful during the Euro crisis? Or why has Germany taken on so many refugees in recent years? What makes Germany different or similar to other countries in Europe?